Did you know there have been several trials that have shown dramatic results in regards to how psilocybin has helped people suffering from major depressive disorder? In a study published in November of 2020, for example, 71% of people who took psilocybin for major depressive disorder showed a greater than 50% reduction, let me repeat, 50% reduction in symptoms after 4 weeks, and half of the participants entered remission. Wow. What's going on, everyone? This is your daily dose of mental health with Adam, and in today's video we will be discussing how psilocybin in particular helps people with major depressive disorder and in particular anxiety. Now, before I go any further, can you please like and subscribe to the channel? The subscribe should be in the bottom right hand corner, and also ta-da! Subscribe if you would subscribe, I'd appreciate it as well. And hit that bell icon if you want to as well. Also, we'll be discussing as well how psilocybin has helped me in the experience I had from it doing it. I've done it twice, and I would just like to articulate and give some more insight on what to expect when you use psilocybin and if you're using it for a specific purpose in regards to things like anxiety, major depressive disorder, or even OCD tendencies. This is your daily dose of mental health. Please leave a comment. I love you all. So let's go ahead and look at the studies in regards to how psilocybin is helping people with major depressive disorder and anxiety. Okay, so first, previous studies by Johns Hopkins medicine researchers showed that psychedelic treatment with psilocybin relieved major depressive disorder symptoms in adults for up to 1 month. Now, in a follow-up study by those participants, the researchers report that substantial antidepressant effects of psilocybin-assisted therapy given in conjunction with supportive psychotherapy may last a year for some patients. So a lot of these studies that are coming together now are essentially saying that back when we were first starting to study psilocybin, that it would only relieve symptoms for a month, but now if you use psilocybin with psychotherapy, it actually can last upwards of a year or even longer for some people. So real quick, what this study is from. It's a report on the new study was published in the Journal of Psychopharmacology, once again by Johns Hopkins. So, and this is a quote from Natalie Gutkeisen. Our findings add to evidence that under carefully controlled conditions, this is a promising therapeutic that can lead to significant and durable improvements in depression. Assistant Professor of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, and this is that Natalie Gutkeisen. She does caution, however, that the results we see are in a research setting and require a lot of preparation and structured support from trained clinicians and therapists, and people should not attempt to try this on their own, and that is key. You should not be trying this on your own. In particular, that's what I'll talk about a little later in the video of the time I've done psilocybin or magic mushrooms and why I would advise not to do it alone. This has the same implications in that way. So, once again, as I said, over the last 20 years, there has been growing evidence and research in regards to classic psychedelics. The pharmacological class of compounds that include psilocybin, an ingredient found in so-called magic mushrooms, according to the National Institute of Drug Abuse, psilocybin can produce perceptual changes, altering a person's awareness of their surroundings and their thoughts and feelings. Treatment with psilocybin has shown promise in research settings for treating a range of mental health disorders and addictions, which I think that's really cool that it does help with addictions as well. So for this study, the researchers recruited 27 participants with a long-term history of depression, most of whom had been experiencing depressive symptoms for approximately 2 years before they were recruited for this, and have also tried antidepressants as a first-line treatment. More than half of the participants reported using, as I said, antidepressants in their current depressive episodes, and 88%, which is big, 88% had previously been treated with standard antidepressant medications. Participants were randomized into two groups in which they received the combined treatment of psilocybin and psychotherapy either immediately or after an 8-week waiting period. So, real quick, I'm going to start talking about some of what was reported during this. So, the researchers reported that psilocybin treatment in both groups produced large decreases in depression, and that depression severe remained low 1, 3, 6, and 12 months after treatment. So, that's huge that there's large decreases in depression over a broad spectrum of 1 month to 3 months to 6 months to 12 months. Depressive symptoms were measured before and after treatment using the Grid Hamilton Depression Rating Scale, which I'm going to put a little photo, as you can see, you should see right now, of what it is. And it's a tool used categorizing different differences in regards to low to high scores in depression. So essentially, severe depression would be anywhere from 17 to 23, moderate would be 18 to 16, and depression 7 or less would be very mild or no depression at all. So for most participants, scores for the overall treatment decreased from 22.8 at pre-treatment to 8.7. Let me say that again. 22.8, they had a decrease from 22.8 at pre-treatment to 8.7 at 1 week, 8.9 at 4 weeks, and 9.3 at 3 months, 7 at 6 months, and 7.7 at 12 months after treatment, which shows that it doesn't just, it goes deeper than just 1 month if you get the proper treatment, meaning you get treatment and you're using, in conjunction with it, psychotherapy. So, also, psilocybin not only produces significant and immediate effects, it also has a long duration, which suggests that it may be uniquely useful in the treatment of depression, which kind of summarizes this study. So, outside of that, also, compared to the standard antidepressants, which must be taken for long stretches of time, psilocybin has the potential to enduringly relieve the symptoms of depression with 1 to 2 treatments. So, if you're getting more than one treatment, you have the potential for your major depressive disorder and or anxiety, which go together, to be decreased for up to a year or even more, which is huge. That's why I brought up this study, was because in past studies over the past 20 years, what it was saying was in studies that typically if you get treatment, it would help for at most 1 month. But now that we're finding new therapies with psilocybin, meaning like psychotherapy, you can actually prolong this for up to a year or even longer, which I believe with more treatments and the more resources we find and the more, once again, studies we do, we will be able to actually really open up and unveil that curtain of the true uses of how psilocybin in particular can help fight against anxiety and depression. Also, the researchers emphasize that further research is needed to explore the possibility that the efficacy of psilocybin treatment may be substantially longer than 12 months. Obviously, that's true, because we don't right now, as stated, there are studies, but there aren't enough yet, and there hasn't been enough support / research and funding to once again truthfully know if it goes longer than 12 months. However, in this study, it does push the idea that more treatments in conjunction with psychotherapy, it does have the potential to go past 1 year to maybe even 2. All right, right now, I'm going to go ahead and jump into my own experience with psilocybin as well. Once again, please like and subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and please share this with your friends and family. Okay, let's jump right on into my experience. So how did psilocybin or magic mushrooms help me? Or you might be asking, when did I use them, or why did I use them? And I'll go into the real quick specific, or the details. One time I used them was in high school because I got them from a friend. And the second time I used them, I won't give a time range, but it was like a couple of years ago when I was going through some serious, in particular, anxiety. Some serious anxiety. I decided to try them. And obviously, before I tried magic mushrooms, as should everyone, you should be doing your research on them. The first time I did them, and once again, this is for educational purposes only, in my own experience, I'm not endorsing the use of these. The first time I used them in high school, I was stupid, and I took like 5 grams. And I took them by myself one night, because I was like, you know what, screw it, took them. And I'll never forget, after the first hour, I didn't really feel much, but then once that hour and a half mark hit, that's when I really felt it. And I'll tell you this, I wish I would have been with somebody and never done it alone. Also, I'll say this, the thing I'm thankful about with that experience is at least I was in a safe environment. That's another thing, you always want to be in a safe environment if you're going to be using anything like this, anything that causes any sort of, that has psychoactive effects, including THC and basic things like that. I will say, when I did it, when I first started feeling it, I had some very bizarre emotions. I was going up and down with having severe panic and anxiety, like an up and down, thinking something bad was going to happen. But one thing that really helped with it was I did play music, and I just played some basic tunes. I played some, surprisingly, once again, symphony music that was very calming. And I'll never forget the first time after about, when it kicked in about an hour and a half later, that first 30 minutes was rough. But then after that, for the next like 2 or 3 hours, I'll never forget, I just started crying. And I couldn't tell you why, but I was just in tears of joy. Just tears of joy. And it was a feeling that I felt like I hadn't felt in a long time, and it made me feel as if that's what a normal person feels like, that I don't get to feel from a day-to-day perspective. I do have as well a little bit of a history of some trauma, which I will not go into, and I felt like I was able to just let that go at that time. And this was in high school when I was feeling some of these emotions. So I'll never forget the first time I tried them, and that's where I really got into the idea of mental health and using natural remedies and how they could help you, was off this experience. But once again, what helped me was obviously doing it in a safe environment, having music ready to go. But also, I will say, one part that, as I stated earlier, I wish I would have done is, I wish I wouldn't have done them alone. But the first time I did them, I'll never forget having those tears of joy and feeling, in my opinion, what I thought what normal was. And I'll tell you this, it was not a high feeling or anything like that. It was just, I felt more in touch with my body. It wasn't, for me the first time, it wasn't an out-of-body experience off 5 grams, and I know that sounds pretty crazy. I didn't hallucinate per se, but I did notice I was more in tune with my surroundings, meaning I could stare at, for example, my laptop or something. I remember I was staring at my laptop in bed at one point, and I felt like I could see all the details and intricacies of it. But when it comes to actually seeing things, no. That is what I'll actually lead into the second time I used them, which was a couple of years ago, and this time I only used 3.5 grams of them, of psilocybin or magic mushrooms. Oh, and let me backtrack. The first time I used them, I did take them, but I took them on a full stomach, which is big. You should always have something in your stomach before you take them, which I think is what led to this. The second time I took them, I only took 3.5 milligrams on an empty stomach, which was a big mistake. So always have food in your stomach. But I did everything else. I did them alone, but I had somebody I could call. And if it did turn bad, I had somebody who could be there for me. But I decided to do them because I was going through some serious depression at the time. And let me tell you, I took the 3.5 grams, and within 45 minutes, I was tripping my balls off. I was seeing things, And I'm talking like, I'm saying different shapes. I remember looking at my wall in the apartment I was living in, and I was seeing, I was staring at the wall, and I could see it today. I was seeing shapes on the wall, different colors, and it was almost like this is how I'd explain it. Like, picture looking at a wall, and you're just seeing in your vision, like coming through it horizontally, just like these squiggly lines and things like that. It was very interesting. However, I didn't really have any anxiety or paranoia like the first time, because I knew what to expect, which leads me into another point. Before you do them, make sure you go into an experience. If you're going to use psilocybin, you have to go into it understanding that if you're wanting a problem, not going to say fixed, but have answers for, you need to accept the fact that you will be confronted with whatever it is that's causing that anxiety or depression or trauma. And it can be very, very scary, but that's part of the experience, is you'll confront it. And once you see it for what it is, that's when you experience that joy. So with me, this second time, I'll just tell you, I was shown that, and I won't go into details, that some of the anxiety and depression I was going through, that it essentially, what I saw was shapes and a wall in front of me. And I'll never forget, I saw a door. It was like a golden door, with like a golden door. And I opened that door, and I just saw light, just light. And once I opened that door, that feeling of peace that I felt that first time came in, and I started crying again. And once again, it's a feeling that when you have that breakthrough moment, you can't really explain to anyone unless they've been through it. So anyone whoever has used any sort of psychedelics, like for example, psilocybin, magic mushrooms, ketamine, you probably know what I'm talking about. But that was my experience. Also, real quick, in regards to both of them, let's sum it up. Do not do them on an empty stomach. Have something in your stomach. Have someone you can call. Do them in a safe environment. Never drive. And also, the biggest key is be aware that if you're going into the experience in a negative way, and I'm not saying, oh, you're doing it because you're depressed. No, if you're going into it with a negative mindset that it's not going to help you, you will have a horrible, horrible trip. So that sums up this video in regards to psychedelics, my experience, the part 2 video. Check out part 1 if you haven't yet. I'll leave it at the end of the video. Once again, everyone, please like and subscribe to the channel. Share this with others. Leave a comment down below. Lastly, the next video I believe I will be tackling is something that's close to me, but it will be in regards to Haldol. I'm going to be tackling Haldol, and I know that might be random, but it's another common antipsychotic that is prescribed in the psych setting that a lot of people have questions about before taking it. So I'm going to do a video on Haldol. Remember, this is a channel that is everything mental health, so I can do motivation, drug education, you name it, the psych setting. Oh, and also, besides the Haldol video, that'll come out first within the week, or the other video I am thinking will be on something in regards to mental health. Like, for example, I did a video, what are the 5 signs of a patient escalating? Done that. I think I'm going to do one on how to know that psych is the right field for you to work in. A video in regards to that. So I'll be doing one of the 2 videos. Once again, I love you all. This is your daily dose of mental health. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Leave a comment.